Hands up, who's been to Monaco? Yep, 3 times. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's an amazing place. But why have so many F1 drivers, past and present, chosen to make this small principality their home? And it is small. 2.1 square kilometres, the world's shortest coastline, 3.8 kilometres, and a width of country ranging from 350 metres to 1.7 kilometres. I'll tell you more about it in just a moment. Quite frankly, there is no place quite like Monaco. It's been synonymous with Formula One for decades. It's the most densely populated nation, even though it has just 37,000 people. And F1 drivers past and present are well represented in this group. Why? The weather for a start. Beautiful warm weather most of the year. On the coast, obviously. The social life's fantastic. It's safe. There's closed circuit TV everywhere. It's central to Europe. If you're travelling to various European races, you're pretty much in the heart of Europe. And yes, there's a tax advantage. There's no tax to pay if you live there. Now, if you're on big money like a lot of F1 drivers are, and you're on a high tax bracket in your own country, there's a huge financial advantage in packing up and moving to somewhere like Monaco. Yes, it's an expensive city. A modest studio apartment set you back around $600,000 for a studio. But let's start with the current crop of F1 drivers. Charles Leclerc first, born there, grew up there, the only Monegasque in this group. Alex Albon, his good mate, moved there earlier this year and is in fact a neighbour of David Coulthard's. In fact, David helped the 24-year-old move in and get settled. Also on this list of Monegasque residents, Valtteri Bottas, the man who loves cycling. Daniel Ricciardo lives there. Lewis Hamilton. Nico Hülkenberg and his newly-to-be wife, Egle. Antonio Giovinazzi, Max Verstappen and Daniil Kvyat. I mentioned one past driver in David Coulthard. Others to live there, Mika Hakkinen, Felipe Massa, Nico Rosberg and Jenson Button. That's quite a stable of Formula One people, and Monaco has a rich history when it comes to Formula One, going back to 1929, when the first race was held on the city streets. The Monaco GP is pretty much the jewel in the F1 crown, and it's held on the last Sunday of May every year. And this is 1/3 of the Triple Crown, including the Indy 500 and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Only one driver has won it. Do you know that driver? I'll tell you at the back end of the video, see if you can guess in the interim. Monaco is one of just 6 street circuits. The other 5 are Melbourne, Singapore, Baku, Sochi and Hanoi. If we'd actually race there this year, that'll be coming up next year, touch wood. But unlike other tracks, Monaco is very tight. It's hard for crews. There's not much room to pull their stuff, and you'll remember Daniel's botched pit stop that year that he didn't win the race and should have. Well, part of that story is down to the fact that the pits are so tight they have to store tyres in separate areas. And when they made a late pit stop decision and then they changed the tyres, the guys couldn't get them out there quick enough. The interesting thing about Monaco is that unlike all of the other street races, these streets in Monaco are open at night. Normal traffic goes on them. So what happens during a typical race weekend? Normally we'd start on a Thursday with a media day, but in Monaco we start on the Wednesday. We have Wednesday as the media day, we have Thursday for FP1, we have Friday off for F1, and Saturday of course is quali, and the race on Sunday. But effectively if you're coming for F1, you get the Friday off. Yes, the race is often boring. It's a bit of a procession. That safety car is often out, but it is my favourite event. And most people would agree that if you were trying to get an event like Monaco up today, it wouldn't float. It doesn't have the right safety features, it's not long enough. A lap is in the order of 70 seconds, whereas, say, somewhere like a Spa, a lap's in the order of 101 seconds. But what that does do for you in Monaco, and it's why I love the event in part, is because you get to see the cars pass you 78 times. Go to Spa and you only see them pass you 48 times. Monaco is also compact, it's close. The thing that is a drawback for the teams is a positive for the spectator. You get to see them up close in a lot of the spots. Then there's the boats, the harbour. It's chock-a-block full of glamour and money. It reeks money. The people that come are interesting. The backdrops for photography are spectacular, what with the tunnel, the boats, all the different buildings that are so visible when you watch this race on television at the track, it's even more fantastic. Another thing I like about Monaco is a lot of the drivers ride to the tracks on bicycles, on scooters or motorbikes. But before I talk you around a lap of Monaco, because I think it's worth doing, if you want more from my channel, I'd invite you to join as a member and receive custom emotes, wallpapers and discounts on my ProStar Pics digital downloads and one-to-one chats. If you're on your browser or in the app, you can just click the join button. Right, let's do this lap of the Monaco GP. Let's start out at turn number 1, Sundebot, named after the church behind the barriers. Then we head right, we go up the hill, it goes up at a 12% gradient. I shoot the starts from this section of the track and I love it. I love it because after the cars come past, and it's a hell of a noise, there's this huge plume of dust that you must turn away from, otherwise you get absolutely showered in it. Then there's a left-hander at Mazenay, Casino Square on your right, Hotel de Paris on your left, and we're at this point 44 metres higher than the lowest point. There's a right-hander next, around the Casino Square, and then downhill there's an enormous bump on the left which all the cars avoid before turning right at Mirabeau, and then a short burst to the Fairmont hairpin. The hairpin is so tight that some cars need to have their steering and suspension altered just to get around that one particular corner. Then it's a double right at Portier and then into the tunnel, and it offers some beautiful photographic opportunities. There's no rain in the tunnel, so back in 1984, Bernie Eccleston had the fire crews wet the road because Niki Lauda asked for that so that they didn't have dry conditions in the tunnel and wet outside the tunnel. Coming out of the tunnel, they head straight towards the boats, and what a beautiful view that is. Then they brake heavily at the Nouvelle Chicane, and there have been many accidents here. And I love these shots from Hassan Bratic from 2019, when Lewis and Max tangled at that particular corner. Here, we get to sit on the road just around the corner and shoot them with nothing in between us and the car. Coming out of the chicane, there's a short run down to Tabac, but on the left, you'll see all of the boats have moved back 10 or so metres, and they have to move back during sessions where there's cars on track. As they do the left-hander now at Tabac, the smaller boats, and when I say smaller, some of them are up to 35 metres in length, they're hard up against the dock. They don't have to move back. Next up is swimming pool. I love the entrance to swimming pool where the cars come straight at us if we're situated on the outside of the track. And if we're on the inside of the track, we can stand so close to these cars at the Exeter swimming pool. It's a beautiful shot. And then they head to Rascasse. Now, Rascasse is the party zone come late at night, and I'll move into that a little bit later on. Then they round the right-hander of Rascasse, and another right-hander takes them back onto Pit Straight. Or they turn right and head into the pits. If you're a business and you'd like to sharpen up your crew's skills, head to Canity.com, the world's best online staff training platform. Hundreds of short, sharp training videos covering everything from handling angry customers to staying safe under COVID-19. Canity.com. There are a number of factors that make the Monaco event so totally unique. One is the paddock. It's quite cramped, and when you look where it's situated, compared with the pit lane, it's a hell of a walk to get there. In the paddock, all of the teams have their standard motorhomes, except Red Bull. They don't bring their motorhome, they bring this floating palace that's built in Italy and then sent up the Mediterranean and pushed into place at the back of the paddock. And it is an absolute winner. It's a real statement. And there's even a pool on the top level where if you're a Red Bull driver and you win the race, you will end up going for a dip, as Daniel Ricciardo did in 2018. Come race week, things kick off with a track walk. And bear in mind, for the prior 6 weeks, people have been busily building this track. There's a football match where a lot of the drivers go out and have a run, and they're hosted by Prince Albert at the main stadium in Monaco. The Amber Lounge fashion parade takes place. Celebrities like Pamela Anderson, Kate Upton, big names of the F1 world are there. But in terms of social events at F1 races, there'd be few bigger than this. And tickets are highly sought after. What's race day like? Well, lots of celebrities around. They're in typical corporate suites, etc., and I'll come to that in a minute. They have grid boys and girls. It's one of the rare tracks that has both. Of course, F1 deleted grid girls a little while back, but we still have a touch of that in this particular race. The drivers head around the track for their parade lap on the back of a truck. There's no vintage cars, which is surprising because I imagine there are plenty. It's a very moneyed city. But after the race, interestingly enough, spectators can't get access to the track, so they can't see the podium presentation. That's merely for the teams and the media. If you're intending to go to the race, let's have a look at where you can sit. For a start, you can watch the race for free. Yes, you can. Where, you say? Up on the hill. Now, admittedly, you're a little way away from the track, but you get to take in the complete scene. And if you want to get a spot, you'll need to get there early in the week and chain your chairs up to a tree, or get there early in the morning and hope you can find a space. And in fact, the first year I went to Monaco, 2017, I had the most amazing experience with this fella, Billy. He'd stand up on that hill with a metal helmet on and a megaphone, and he would talk to all the drivers as they came across the bridge both ways. So he'd be shouting out, "Kimmy, give us a wave." It was the most remarkable sight. And of course, everybody gets behind him, and the later in the day it gets, the more they've had to drink and the rowdier they become, but a real fun buzz. At the other end of the scale, if you've got plenty of brass, get to the Paddock Club. It's where you'll get visits from drivers, you'll have the best seats in the house, you'll see them walk past you back and forwards at the pits. It's on the second last corner. Of course, you can buy grandstand seats at various places around the track, and probably the best place for me is this particular stand where you get to look at the pits and see the cars in the foreground and the pits above you. There are also parties in apartments and on top of buildings. People like F1 Experiences offer those functions. Not cheap, but if you want a touch of exclusivity and a beautiful view, perhaps from the top of a building, you couldn't go wrong with one of these functions. Let's talk accommodation now. If you want to stay in Monaco, you better have very deep pockets. Nothing goes for cheap here. If you want to go to the very top end, get yourself a berth on a boat. Perhaps hire your own boat. If not, take a room or a cabin in one of the boats that some of the operators operate. The best way. You don't even have to leave the boat. You get all of your meals sorted out. You get functions day and night, parties running until very late. So don't expect to be getting to bed too early. They are noisy, they are fun, and if you do want to leave the boat during the day when the racing's on, you'll need to leave by tender, and they'll take you around to one of the little docks. If you're looking for hotels, once again, the good ones are going to be plenty, and probably no better than the Fairmont Hairpin, where you'll pay anywhere from $7,000 US to $14,000 US per night for a room with a view while the race is on. Even modest hotels like the Columbus, which David Coulthard used to own, which normally goes for a couple of $100 US a night, you can pay anywhere from 5 to 7 times that during Grand Prix weekend. Most people, though, tend to stay in towns around the area, somewhere like a Nice, where you can catch a train into the track and it drops you right at the centre of Monaco. Well, the place is not very big, almost anywhere is in the centre of Monaco. Or if you've got a bit more brass, take a helicopter and fly in. So you've managed to get to Monaco, you've got yourself some accommodation, you've got your tickets to the race. What are you going to do for fun afterwards? Nikki Beach on the top of the Fairmont is a real buzz. During the day too, you can go there, watch the race. They've got a small grandstand. In fact, I've shot the start of the race from that grandstand going back to 2017. If you want to rub shoulders with the drivers, go for the Amber Lounge. Although, don't expect them to be hanging around you all night. They typically roll up for a short period and tend to hang around in a special VIP area. If your budget's a little bit more modest, head down to La Rascasse any night because from about 10 p.m. it goes off crazy. Thousands of people down there. It's an open-air, nightclubby, bar-type place. And at the end of the night, it looks very ordinary. And if you're lucky enough to get yourself onto a boat as a guest of someone's, you will love that. And if you can't get on as a guest, you can always pay. There are a number of functions that you can pay per head and get on those boats and enjoy food and drink and a beautiful atmosphere. And I tell you, there's nothing quite like sitting on one of those boats and watching people walk past. In fact, that's almost a better show than anything you'll see anywhere in the world, just the people walking backwards and forwards along the docks. It's not hard to see why Monaco is such a popular destination and why so many F1 fans and drivers love the place. Yes, it's not the most spectacular race you'll ever see, but I tell you, as an experience, I can think of none better. If you've liked the video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd invite you to do that too. And if you want to hit the bell button, you'll be notified every time I release a new video. I recommend these highly. There's 21 different F1 driver photo books. You can also purchase prints at kimellman.com, same place you can get these, All of my images are available at prostarpics.com, and my best images you'll find every day on Instagram at Kim Elman. Oh, and Graham Hill is the only driver to have won the Triple Crown. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate. Bowled that in record time.